Hey everyone, it's Paul Bertorelli reporting for AVweb and Aviation Consumer. I'm in the cockpit of a Carbon Cub equipped with Aerocet floats. In the back is Randy Lervoed of CubCrafters. We're going to take a look at the floats and float flying in general in this equipped airplane, but first we're going to take a look at the factory at CubCrafters where these airplanes are made.
35 years ago we bought a couple of Piper Super Cubs and with the idea of rebuilding and reselling them, and found that the same vendor had many more available. So I ended up buying 9 from the same vendor that came from Europe. And because they were from Europe, I had to learn how to get them certified in the US. So through that process, kind of gave me a foundation of understanding the regulations, at least as pertain to certification. And we continued to work just on Piper Super Cubs for 20 years and modified, rebuilt, bought and sold. As the years went along, we got some STCs and established an engineering department to get more, and things just evolved into the point where we had quite a number of STCs and realized that virtually every part of a Piper Super Cub was available from a vendor besides Piper. We put all those parts together and went to the FAA and asked for certification. And initially we were certified under the spare and surplus rule, and in 2002 we got our own type certificate, the Top Cub. So it's essentially a Super Cub on steroids, bigger engine, more useful load, more gross weight, longer props, bigger fuel tanks, all the growth things that typically happen with an airplane over the years. Our certification program for the Top Cub enveloped the years 2002 through 2004. The Sport Cub rule came along in 2005. So we were just finishing up certification in 2004 as the Sport Cub rule, or the Sport Plane rule, was being approved. So all our vendors that we had used to certify the Top Cub were re-engaged to design and certify the Sport Cub, and that evolved into the Carbon Cub. Well, we try to build everything we can. We're in control of the quality that way. We're in control of the timing. We're kind of in control of our destiny, if you will. So we build the fuselages from raw material. We build all the composite parts from a roll of fabric and a barrel of resin. We have a machine shop, we have a weld shop, we have a fiberglass and carbon fiber composite shop, paint shop, avionics shop. We do everything in-house. We pretty much build everything except the exhaust system and the tail brace wires as far as the airframe components.
So Randy, we've been buzzing around Rimrock Reservoir here near Yakima for a few minutes in the Aerocet float-equipped Carbon Cub. Tell me a little bit about these floats, about the installation, and this airplane strikes me as being pretty close to an ideal float plane for the kind of operation for sport flying and backcountry.
Well, we would agree with you. We think it is. We don't make floats, but it's important to us to have floats available for it. We worked in partnership with Aerocet to develop these floats, probably started about 3 years ago. Probably took about 2 years to get them to market, and they did some really new things for these floats. They have a brand new pump system that they hadn't used before. Some of their proven technology, the hydrodynamics and the hull design, is a copy of their other designs, just scaled down. And the oil bath wheels are a trademark of Aerocet, but the landing gear mechanism, the landing gear itself, is all lighter weight than they've ever done before and pretty high tech, and ends up being just a great fit for this airplane.
And how do they come out in weight compared to the previous float system you were using? You were using Baumann's, I believe?
We were using the Baumann's. These are going to be about 30 pounds heavier all up, but it is a slightly larger float too. A little more flotation, and the landing gear is quite a bit more robust. The main landing gear allows it to land on grass or even dirt strips and absorb quite a bit of stuff. 5-inch wheels instead of 4-inch wheels and so on. So we think it's a good compromise all the way around, and again, a good fit for the aircraft.
The gear system here is hydraulic. Let's talk about that a little bit. I've used it a couple times. It seems pretty straightforward.
It is. It's a double action hydraulic pump. There's a Johnson bar there. Both forward and back, it's pumping up. It's a brand new design. It was a clean sheet design for them. Pretty lightweight, and I suspect you'll probably see them use it on some other products because it's, after some initial bugs, it's actually working quite well now.
And what kind of performance in this airplane, the Carbon Cub, with the floats on, and we've got the stock Carbon Cub would have, what, a 340?
Great question, and it's kind of interesting. It depends what wheels and tires you just took off. 26-inch tires are probably our most popular, so if you compare it to that, it won't cost you any cruise airspeed at all, believe it or not. It'll cost you only about 200 feet a minute to climb. So it's not as much of a compromise as you find on most airplanes.
And so what kind of cruise are we going to see in this?
You know, it depends on your RPM setting. The Carbon Cub, by virtue of its sort of excess horsepower, has quite a wide range of cruise, but you know, 110 miles an hour true airspeed is quite an economical and reasonable cruise. I think that represents about 60% power.
So you've done a lot of float flying. What do you think is the trick to learn this airplane? It seems pretty simple, but there are things you have to watch out for.
You do. Now, with amphibious floats, which are pretty much all that's being sold these days, of course, position of the landing gear is important. And actually, that's another thing Aerocet does quite well. They have their own proprietary gear warning indicator, and it has lights that indicate where all four wheels are, and has a voice-activated warning system that is both a male voice for wheels down and a female voice for wheels up. There's a cancel button on the warning, and there's separate cancel buttons for wheels up and wheels down to try and get the pilot to actually think about where the wheels are. But other than that, if you just pay attention to float fundamentals that you'll learn in your training when you get your rating, you'll be fine.
Okay, Randy, well, thanks for the checkout in Carbon Cub. A lot of fun to fly and not too difficult. I could learn to be a float pilot.
You did great. Thanks for flying with us, Paul.
This is Paul Bertorelli reporting for AVweb and Aviation Consumer. Thanks for watching.